My beloved child, you have loved with a heart that refused to turn cold. You gave when no one returned, you believed when every sign told you to stop, and still you stood with gentleness. Heaven saw all of it. Heaven watched you try to hold together what was already breaking and chose not to shame your faith, only to protect it. That protection often looked like loss, but it was rescue wearing disguise. You wondered why people walked away after you gave them every ounce of care. You cried asking why loyalty was never returned with loyalty. But God does not allow counterfeit to stay when authenticity is on its way. Every rejection that hurt you was a redirection, shaping room for the one who will recognize your worth. The delay was not punishment, it was alignment. I, Archangel Michael, have walked through the corridors of your loneliness. I have seen the nights when you held conversations with silence, convincing yourself that maybe love was not meant for you anymore. But the truth is simpler and kinder. Heaven was preparing someone whose soul has survived the same storms, someone who knows how to hold without hurting. They are on their way, not as a fantasy, but as fulfillment. This person will not be perfect, but they will be peaceful. Their presence will not drain you, it will steady you. They will not compete with your light, they will rest in it. They will see in you what others ignored, the quiet strength, the forgiving patience, the beauty that does not need to prove itself. Heaven never sends replacements, it sends restoration in human form. You are being matched by vibration, not convenience. The lessons that softened you are teaching them too. Somewhere, this very night, they feel an unexplained pull to pray for clarity. That pull has your name attached. Two paths once separate are being aligned like threads in a single tapestry. Neither of you will have to chase. Timing will introduce you without effort. Michael raises his sword of light, tracing a circle around your heart. No impostor can cross this boundary, he says. Only what honors you may enter. And immediately, the heaviness of old attachments fades. The pain you carried for years loosens like dust shaken from traveling shoes. Space is being made, for peace, for partnership, for mutual understanding. Do not fear being alone in the waiting. The silence you sit in now is rehearsal for serenity. The same calm you learn here will be the calm you recognize in them. Heaven never joins two halves, it unites two wholes. And you, beloved, are becoming whole again. So breathe. Rest your heart. The one who will value you is not lost, they are being refined. Their journey has been running parallel to yours, and the lines are about to meet. When they arrive, it will not feel like a beginning, it will feel like remembering. For heaven is about to send the person who will finally see you, not as someone to fix, but as someone to cherish. The approach of the promised one. My beloved child, somewhere beyond the horizon of your ordinary days, footsteps are already moving toward you. Heaven has begun its quiet choreography, one event leading to another, a line of invisible bridges linking two lives that have waited long enough. You cannot see the pattern yet, but you can feel it, a restlessness that no longer hurts, a new peace that makes no sense. That is what it feels like when destiny starts walking your direction. The person meant for you is not coming from luck, they are being led. Every delay that once made you doubt is now guiding their route. Heaven adjusts time itself when the meeting matters. Flights get changed, schedules shift, people withdraw, and suddenly two paths that could never have met begin to curve toward the same sunrise. You will look back and call it coincidence, but angels call it alignment. Archangel Michael walks beside you through this season of preparation. Listen, he says, and you notice how silence feels alive. Heaven arranges introductions through readiness, not urgency. He touches your shoulder lightly, and something inside you exhales. You realize you no longer crave what used to drain you. The ache for validation has melted into calm. That calm is the signal, they are near. Across the distance, they are changing too. They are learning what loyalty costs, understanding what peace requires. They are being emptied of pretense so that when they arrive, they have room for truth. Heaven never sends love to complete you, it sends love to complement what completion has built. In small ways, life begins to hint. A familiar song plays at the perfect moment. A stranger's kindness echoes a phrase you once prayed. You start encountering stories of reconciliation and think, why do these words feel meant for me? They are confirmations whispered through ordinary things. Michael's voice deepens, carrying a quiet command. Keep your heart open but guarded. The right one will enter through peace, not pressure. And with those words, boundaries become sacred again. You stop explaining your worth, you start embodying it. That vibration clears the path faster than effort ever could. Then, without warning, the air around your routine shifts. You feel it before you see it, the recognition that arrives before introduction. Perhaps it's a conversation that flows too easily, a meeting that feels rehearsed, a glance that carries the calm of home. However it begins, it won't feel like pursuit, it will feel like arrival. Heaven loves symmetry, their healing timeline just met yours. When that moment comes, Michael stands silently behind you, his armor reflecting a softer light than battle ever required. This is why you waited, he murmurs. Not for romance alone, but for reflection, for someone who mirrors the peace you paid for in pain. You will know them not by how loudly they love you, but by how safely you can rest near them. The right soul does not rush, it recognizes. And when that recognition blooms, the years of ache will fold into one quiet truth. Every unanswered prayer was a path under construction. Every lonely night was a message being written. And this meeting, is heaven's reply made visible. When paths finally meet. My beloved child, the day that heaven wrote long before your birth is unfolding quietly. It doesn't arrive with thunder or fanfare, it arrives through peace that feels like déjà vu. You will wake to an ordinary morning, yet the air will shimmer differently. Every sound will seem sharper, every color softer, as though creation itself is holding its breath. That is the moment before divine connection reveals itself. You will not know it by sight at first, you will know it by stillness. The first conversation will sound like something you've spoken before. The first glance will feel like recognition, not discovery. For when heaven reunites souls that were written to walk together, familiarity precedes introduction. Archangel Michael stands near, the glow of his armor folded into dawn. See, he whispers, the story has circled home. You feel warmth move through you, not excitement, but deep relief. The waiting, the wondering, the long nights that taught you patience, all of it has turned into a soft readiness that says, now I can love without losing myself. The person before you carries their own history of healing. You will notice it in the way they listen, the way they don't rush to fix silence. They carry calm like you carry light. They don't demand space, they create it. The rhythm between you feels older than time, two melodies finding harmony after long rehearsal apart. Michael smiles faintly. This, he says, is what heaven calls fitting. Not perfect, not flawless, fitting. Two stories interlock, not to complete, but to continue. In the days that follow, confirmation multiplies. Conversations end with peace instead of confusion. Your laughter returns, unforced. Little inconveniences disappear, schedules align effortlessly, calls arrive at the exact moment you think of them, and every shared silence feels safe. These are the fingerprints of divine timing. There will be moments when doubt tries to whisper, "Is this real?" And heaven will answer not through words, but through consistency. The right person doesn't disappear when it's hard, they remain steady when everything else shifts. You will see it in their patience, in how they honor your quiet days, in how they understand the language of pauses. Michael steps closer, his presence radiant yet gentle. "Do you remember when you cried that love was impossible?" he asks. You nod. "That night," he says, "heaven sent this one their own message. Hold your ground, your answer is being refined." You both grew under separate suns, but grace has brought the seasons together. You begin to realize that every heartbreak prepared you to recognize peace, that every disappointment taught you how to choose differently. Heaven never wastes pain, it recycles it into discernment. And now that wisdom has become your compass. You don't need to cling, you simply stay present. Love that comes from God doesn't rush to secure, it relaxes into trust. The first time their hand touches yours, it doesn't feel like a beginning, it feels like a memory finally allowed to happen. You feel no fireworks, only stillness, a holy confirmation that this is not fantasy but fulfillment. The world around you fades into hush, and Michael's voice whispers through the quiet. Two prayers have just collided. What heaven joins through healing, no fear can separate. This is not luck, child, it is the return of what you were always worthy of. You look into their eyes and see not perfection but peace, and in that reflection, you finally understand. The purpose of waiting was not to find someone to fill the silence, it was to become someone who carries peace into it. That is how divine connection begins, not in urgency, but in recognition. And as you walk forward, hand in hand, heaven exhales the words you've been waiting to hear all along. This is the one who will value you, not because of what you offer, but because of who you became while waiting. The blessing of recognition. My beloved child, the greatest miracle is not that you have found someone, it is that you can finally see. True recognition is a vision restored, not a discovery made. It happens when the heart remembers what truth feels like and refuses to settle for imitation again. That remembering is the blessing heaven calls sight. Days pass, but they no longer blur together. You move through time with ease, ordinary moments hum with quiet significance. Coffee shared at sunrise feels sacred, laughter sounds like prayer, even silence holds conversation. Nothing about this love is rushed, yet everything moves with purpose. Heaven's rhythm has entered your routine. Archangel Michael walks unseen at your side. This, he says softly, is partnership born of peace. It does not take from the world, it adds to it. You notice how generosity flows naturally, how each of you reaches outward, not only toward each other but toward others. Real connection multiplies light, it never traps it. You begin to understand that love was never meant to rescue, it was meant to recognize. You are not half searching for completion, you are whole souls whose wholeness harmonizes. Each brings a story of survival, and together those stories teach the world gentler ways to live. Heaven's favor does not shout through display, it whispers through stability. There are evenings when you both speak of the years that shaped you. You mention the nights of waiting, they tell of their own long prayers. And in that exchange, tears appear. Not of grief, but of gratitude. For both of you realize the same thing, every unanswered prayer was leading here. Nothing was wasted, everything was weaving. Michael's light glimmers near, warm as candle fire. Recognition is the revelation that grace has been walking beside you disguised as delay, he murmurs. Now that you see, walk humbly. You feel the words settle inside like roots. Humility, you realize, is the only way to hold a blessing this tender. Life does not become flawless, it becomes faithful. You still face storms, but you no longer face them alone. Arguments end with understanding instead of pride. Decisions are made through prayer instead of panic. The home you build together hums with the same peace that once healed you separately. That peace is the proof. When seasons shift and responsibilities grow, you catch yourself pausing, listening. Heaven still guides in the same gentle tone, through intuition, through timing, through the quiet conviction that love is safe when it serves. You learn that partnership is worship when handled with care. One evening you step outside. The sky glows with a faint silver, clouds parted just enough to reveal the first star. Michael's voice comes again, steady and bright. This is the blessing of recognition, to see each other as God saw you first, whole, worthy, capable of carrying light. Protect that vision. Keep gratitude as the guard at your gate. You take a breath that feels endless. Gratitude replaces longing, peace replaces proof. The journey that began with tears now ends with understanding. Heaven did not only send someone who would value you, it taught you to value yourself first, so you could finally recognize what real love looks like when it arrives. And somewhere in the quiet, heaven smiles. The story that began in brokenness now lives as blessing, shining softly wherever you walk. The life they build together. My beloved child. When heaven brings two healed hearts together, the real miracle begins after the meeting. Love becomes a rhythm that shapes the world around it. What started as comfort turns into creation, what once was a whisper of prayer becomes a living answer. The life you build now is not a monument to pain overcome, it is a garden grown from it. Mornings unfold with simplicity. There is coffee, laughter, quiet work, small prayers before leaving home. You find beauty in routine because gratitude has become the foundation. Even errands carry a touch of grace. You hold doors open for strangers, speak gently, listen longer. The peace between you spills outward, transforming ordinary hours into quiet ministry. Archangel Michael walks among the spaces you inhabit, invisible but attentive. This, he says, is heaven's preferred miracle, not thunder, not spectacle, but lives that hum in harmony. He shows how the same patience that once preserved you now protects others. Friends come for counsel, neighbors for comfort, and you realize that love multiplied itself without intention. The two of you learn that peace is not the absence of struggle but the art of returning to calm together. When disagreements arise, voices soften quickly. Pride dissolves in prayer. You will not know it by sight at first, you will know it by stillness. The first conversation will sound like something you've spoken before. The first glance will feel like recognition, not discovery. For when heaven reunites souls that were written to walk together, familiarity precedes introduction. Archangel Michael stands near, the glow of his armor folded into dawn. See, he whispers, the story has circled home. You feel warmth move through you, not excitement, but deep relief. The waiting, the wondering, the long nights that taught you patience, all of it has turned into a soft readiness that says, now I can love without losing myself. The person before you carries their own history of healing. You will notice it in the way they listen, the way they don't rush to fix silence. They carry calm like you carry light. They don't demand space, they create it. The rhythm between you feels older than time, two melodies finding harmony after long rehearsal apart. Michael smiles faintly. This, he says, is what heaven calls fitting. Not perfect, not flawless, fitting. Two stories interlock, not to complete, but to continue. In the days that follow, confirmation multiplies. Conversations end with peace instead of confusion. Your laughter returns, unforced. Little inconveniences disappear, schedules align effortlessly, calls arrive at the exact moment you think of them, and every shared silence feels safe. These are the fingerprints of divine timing. There will be moments when doubt tries to whisper, "Is this real?" And heaven will answer not through words, but through consistency. The right person doesn't disappear when it's hard, they remain steady when everything else shifts. You will see it in their patience, in how they honor your quiet days, in how they understand the language of pauses. Michael steps closer, his presence radiant yet gentle. Do you remember when you cried that love was impossible? He asks. You nod. That night, he says, heaven sent this one their own message, hold your ground, your answer is being refined. You both grew under separate suns, but grace has brought the seasons together. You begin to realize that every heartbreak prepared you to recognize peace, that every disappointment taught you how to choose differently. Heaven never wastes pain, it recycles it into discernment. And now that wisdom has become your compass. You don't need to cling, you simply stay present. Love that comes from God doesn't rush to secure, it relaxes into trust. The first time their hand touches yours, it doesn't feel like a beginning,